Okay, hello, this is Jay, and in this part we're going to create the reverse foot setup for this character, which is all going to be driven off this control here. Just check that we're in IK mode. Bonk. And yeah, what we're going to have is one attribute to create the entire foot roll, so we can go back onto the heel and then onto the toe, which is this control here. And then we've got 3 extra controls that we can use to offset from that, or we can just animate with these independently rather than using this attribute here. And then we've got a heel twist, toe twist, and a side to side. Okay, so that's the bulk of what we'll need the foot to do. We'll also add, which we didn't do last time, which is a knee control. So we can use that a bit like we've done for the elbow. And I've also set the knee control up so it can follow the foot. So this way it will reduce the knee flipping that you can sometimes get. But you can still animate on top of this. Or you can completely turn this the knee following the foot off by just popping it to world, and that way you would have to manually animate this knee control. But you will at some point get this sort of behavior, so it's just giving the animator a couple of options of how they want to animate. Do they want to not worry about the knee too much and let it follow along, or do they want to have full control over that? Okay, so that's the plan today. Once we've got both set up, you can get him to be like Michael Jackson. Shamal. There we go. Okay, so let's start with putting the locators in place so we can drive the reverse foot. So I'm just going to go create and pop a locator here. I'm just going to rename that. Oops. Let's just show the IK handles as well. Joints locator. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm just going to increase the size of that so we can select it. Again, I'm using the local scale here to do so. And I'm just going to rename this one to be L heel lock. And I want to parent this, or position this, sorry, at the back of the foot around here. So maybe around this point here. So it pivots from there. Yeah, that should be fine. And what I also want to do is orient this so it matches this joint here. So I'm just going to parent it to this joint. Zero everything out. Oops, sorry, not this joint here. The twist joint. So I'm just going to undo that, and again parent it to the twist joint, the ankle twist, and then zero everything out, and then just hit Shift P to bring that back out again. Okay, so that's now aligned with this foot, and I'm just going to pop this down and back. I'll just turn on grid snapping. Point snapping. So holding down the V key, snap it to this point here. Okay, so that's where we're gonna roll the foot back onto its heel from there. So I'm just going to duplicate this locator, and I'm going to rename this one to be left ball lock. And then I'm going to point snap this, and just hide the geometry for now, to the this joint here, the ball joint. So I'm going to hold down the V, drag this over to that point there, and Control duplicate that again. So Control D, rename this one to be a left toe flat, and leave that exactly where it is, and that's just going to allow us to flap the toes. I'm going to duplicate this once more, rename this left toe end, and point snap this one to the front of the foot here. Okay, so we've got 2 locators on top of each other there, the toe end so far and the heel. We need 2 more, one for the outer and then one for the inner, so the inner portion of the foot, so we can put the foot onto its side, and then on the outside as well. So I'm just going to bring back the geometry for this. And again, just duplicate any one of these. I'm just going to take toe flap, Control D, rename this to be left inner, or foot inner maybe, and translate this to this point here. So I'm going to just point snap that as well, just to there. That looks like the widest part of the foot almost, where it's touching the ground. And then Control D this one, rename this to be left foot outer. Oops. And pop it on the other side. And again, I'm just going to point snap this maybe to this point here. Oops. Okay, so that's all our locators in place. We're going to create a couple more later on, but for the bulk of what we need, that's going to do fine. Okay, and next we'll hook the IK handles up to this and create the hierarchy within these, so we can pivot the foot from all these positions. Okay. So now we'll create the hierarchy for all this to work together. So at the top it's going to be the heel, so we'll leave that where it is. Then underneath the heel I'm going to parent the left foot outer. So I'm just middle mouse dragging and dropping. So there's the outer. And then underneath the outer I'm going to parent the left foot inner. Again, middle mouse drag and drop in the outliner. This is, you can use the you can just parent from in the viewport, but I just find this a bit quicker to do. And then I'm going to parent left toe end under the inner, and then both left ball and left toe flap under the toe end. Okay, so we've got this so far, and again if I take the heel, we can rotate there, that's going to carry all these locators. Take the outer, we can use the rotate Z there, inner, do the same. Toe end is going to allow us to pivot the foot up from this position, and also twist the foot from the toe. Then ball is just going to allow us to, we can't see what ball is quite doing yet until we get the IK handles in there, so let's do that now. I'm just going to select, oops, so I've just got all the IK handles selected. Again, I've just made a selection over that area. I'm just going to select the IK handles because they have a higher selection priority. I'm just going to Shift P those to bring them out, and then pop these into the right place for all this to work. So we need to take left ball and left toe IK and then parent that under toe flap, and then left leg IK is going to go under ball IK, sorry, left ball lock. So let me just open that up so you can see that. So now if we take this, you can see the heel locks rolling the foot back, the outer, the inner, the toe end, the left ball, oops, there we go, it goes onto the ball of the foot, and the toe flap. Okay, so everything's working fine there. What I want to do next is create a couple more locators, and that's only because I don't really want to parent this, well we could just parent this directly under the IK control. And that all works fine, but what I want to do is just add an additional locator and group it to itself, just so we can rotate the foot from the ankle here, and we can use this one here as well to rotate the foot, but I want to use it from the ankle. And what that's also going to do is it's just going to zero out this value here, because it's going to live above this control. Okay, so if I just go create locator, again I just increase the size, and I'll call this one left ankle lock, and I'm going to group that to itself, and then call this one left ankle lock offset. And then I'm going to parent left ankle lock offset to the twist joint, zero these values out, and then unparent it again. Okay, so the offset now is going to carry this rotate Y value of how it's been orientated, and the ankle itself is zeroed out, so we can hook this up with clean values. So the heel lock is going to go underneath the ankle. Then the offset I'm going to pop under the control here. Okay, so that's gone underneath the control. And again, if you had a very straight foot, then you wouldn't need to really worry about these. You can leave these locators in world space really without the orientation. But where this foot's at a slight angle, you can see now this is zeroed out, and we can again rotate the foot from the ankle now, like so. Okay, so that's everything there sorted out. Next, we're just going to add the controls for the reverse foot onto the left leg IK control itself. So I'm just going to start by setting up this control so we can rotate from the ankle. And again, we're going to use the I'm just going to hook that up to the left ankle lock. So if I open up the connection editor, oh actually sorry, I need some attributes on this first. So I'm just going to go edit, add attribute, and I've got the left leg IK control selected. I'm just going to call them rot X. It's going to be a float with no min max. Rot Y for rotate Y, and rot Z. Okay. I actually want these to come after the translates, and there's no way unless you use a script to move these up and down, which is quite annoying. So one way to actually do it is to, if I just select the knee twist, go edit, delete attribute, once I find it, delete, oh, it's under here, edit, delete attribute, here it is, and the leg twist, edit, delete attribute. If you undo now, so Control Z, it just pops them back and pops them at the bottom. So really cheap, nasty way to do it, but it does the trick. And again, this is still hooked up, so that's fine. Visibility, I'm just going to hide later on. I'm just going to lock and hide it later on, so I'm not too worried about that being there. But at least now the rotates come after the translates. So window, general editors, connection editor. I'm going to select the left leg IK control, pop it onto the left hand side, and I'm going to select the left ankle lock onto the right hand side. Don't know what I said, yeah, left hand side, right hand side. And now I'm just going to hook up rot X to rotate X. Just here, Y to Y, Z to Z. Okay, so with that done now, we can translate this, then we can use these to rotate the foot. And although we can't actually rotate it with this handle, so I'm just middle mouse drag, highlighting these with the left mouse button, then middle mouse dragging in the viewport to use these interactively. And the reason I haven't popped them on the actual control itself is because this will enable me to still use the X as the side to side and the Z as going back and forth cleanly, even if I rotate these. Let's just do the Y for example. So back and forth is still the Z, and then the X side to side. If I just show you on this side, maybe I'll just open up the I'll just bring back the rotates and unlock these. What you'll get is, if I, again, by default we can go X side to side, Z back and forth, but if I rotate this foot like this and I want to go back now in the Z, you can see I've got to use a combination of X and Z, and you know, things just get messy in my opinion when doing that. So I prefer to just have the rotations happen after the translations, so it's a little bit cleaner. Okay, so that's that sorted out, and next we'll actually do the reverse foot and add the extra attributes to drive everything here. Okay. So I'm just going to open up the this hierarchy here. So these are going to be our driver objects: heel, outer, inner, toe end, and toe flap for everything that we do with the foot. But we just need to add some attributes to the left leg IK control first. So edit, add attribute, and the first one I'm going to add is foot roll. Now I'm going to do all the setup with set driven keys, but there's no reason why you couldn't use expressions as well to drive everything. But I'm just going to use set driven keys for now. So foot roll is set to float, minus 10, 10, default of 10, 0. Add that one. Then I want to be able to offset the heel, the ball, and the toe end. So I'm just going to add heel offset, and that's going to go from 0 to 10. 0 as default. Ball offset, again 0 to 10, default of 0, and toe end offset, I might call it toe pivot, 0 to 10. Add, next I want to add the side to, actually we'll add heel twist next. So you can twist from the heel of the foot back here. And that's going to be a minus 10 to 10, 0 as the default. The toe twist, it's going to be a minus 10 to 10, 0 as the default. And finally side to side. So we can bank the foot. And that's going to go from minus 10 to 10. Okay. So we've got all of these attributes added here, and let's start using set driven keys. So I'm going to bring in first the heel lock, the ball, and the toe end, which is here, into the set driven key window. So animate set driven key set. So that will bring them all down here. And I'm going to take the left leg IK control and load that as the driver. Okay, so I'm going to set up foot roll first, and let's just pick these and see which axis we need to use, and it looks like it's the rotate X. That's going to go back. Cool. So with foot roll set to 0, like this, I'm going to select all three of these, rotate X and key. Okay, so that's just our base pose. Then I'm going to whack the foot roll to minus 10, and at minus 10 I want the foot to go back on its heel, so I'm going to select left heel lock and rotate that back maybe to around minus 50. Okay, you can go a bit more extreme if you wanted to. I think minus 50 sounds quite clean. Again, highlight all three of these and key. Then I'm going to pop this to 5. Actually, we can see what happens if we go from 0 to minus 10 now. So I'm going to pop this to 5 next. Take the ball lock and rotate this maybe to around 40. And again, select all three and key. So now we've got the foot going back onto the heel, onto the ball at 5, and then at 10, it's going to zero out the ball lock and then select toe end and take that up to, I'm not too worried about the knee if it starts to twist, because we can use a control later on to fix that. But I'm going to whack this up to 60, and again select all, key. So now we can use this to go like so. Okay, so with one control we can go back and forth. Okay, so that was at 50, 40 and 60 were the values for for those locators. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the ability to offset from this foot control. So if we want to tweak it slightly, because this is pretty fixed now, as in it goes onto its toe from 5 to 10 at that angle. So if we want to tweak it slightly, we can. So I'm going to select heel offset and just select the heel lock and go key. See, it goes yellow because it's now got two drivers taking over. I'm going to pop heel offset to 10, then I'm going to whack the heel lock to, it was minus 50 I think, and then hit a key there, zero that back out. Again, what this will just allow is if I roll the foot back, I can then use this to push it a little bit further if I want. So it's just an additive result. So ball offset next, ball, key that at its default position, whack the ball offset to 10, and then the ball lock to 40 I think it was. So I'm just trying to match the same numbers. Key. So if the animator did want to just use these three to drive the foot rather than the one control here, he or she could. Okay, it will give us the same visual result. Toe pivot offset, toe end key, toe pivot offset up to 10, toe end up to 60, I've got it at, and then key again. So I can zero that out. Oops. Done it to the wrong shenanigan. So I'm just going to undo. If you've done that, what you can also do, if I select the toe end lock and go to the graph editor, we can see the results of our set driven keys, and I've hooked this up, so I'm going to just delete that. Hopefully I've deleted the wrong one. So that's all working, and that's fine, that's fine. Okay, so toe end, I'm gonna hook up toe pivot key, and then just pop that up to 10, take the toe end, and that was at 60, and then key again. So that's working, that's working, that's working, and that's all working. Okay, so that's the main bulk of the foot done. I'm next going to select the, actually I don't need to select anything, that's the heel. I'm going to twist in the Y. So heel twist, heel twist, heel lock, rotate Y, key at its default position, then pop it into the negative, and I'm going to say the negative is going to come inwards. So just rotate that foot in, minus 50 maybe, key, and 10 can go 50 out. Okay, key that now. Toe twist, toe end lock's going to deal with the twist. So toe twist, rotate Y, key. Yeah, that's fine. And then again negative, I'm going to bring this inwards, maybe 50 again, key that, and then positive can go out. Key. So we got that now. Got the heel twisting from here. Again, that's just going to give us slightly different behavior to twisting with this control here. Side to side next, so we need these two locators, load driven, and it's the Z that we want to drive. So side to side's at 0, select it here, select both of these, rotate Z to begin with, key. I'm going to pop this to 10, and I'm going to go on the outside, so oops, I only want the rotate Z, maybe minus 40 is enough, maybe 50, just to, that's fine. Select both of these and key, and just do the same on the other side. Oops. Select the inner this time, rotate Z, let's take that to 50 as well, and again key. So now if I select this foot control, zero this out, we've got side to side, we've got toe twisting, heel twist, pivoting from the toe on its own, pivoting from the ball on its own, from the heel, and then the foot roll as well. Okay, so we can mix these all up. And that's pretty much, yeah, all we need for the reverse foot. So again, this will carry the foot. We can rotate still drive everything. And again, we'll do the knee next. Actually, we'll add a pole vector for the knee, stop it from flipping out. Okay. Okay, so next we're going to create the pole vector for the knee. So I'm just going to steal this control here. So select the left elbow control, hit F to bring it into the outliner, and then just select the offset control. Control D to duplicate that, and then Shift P to bring it out of the hierarchy. Let's just close that down. So we get this here, and I'm just going to rename this. Modify, search and replace, look for elbow, and replace with knee. And just get rid of the 1. Okay, so select the offset, and just bring it here for now. I'm going to then do the same that we did for the arm to get this control into the correct place. So I'm just going to select, oops, I want U. I'm just going to open this up. I'm going to select left upper leg, lower leg, and leg end. Then the offset for the knee control, and go constrain point. So it snaps it in between those 3 joints. Then select the left lower leg, then the knee control. Oops, offset, constrain, aim. And then delete these 2 constraints. Then we can select the offset and just push it out along the Z. And our knee is correctly aligned. So now when we select the control itself, so left knee control, then the IK handle, which is somewhere in here, we can go constrain pole vector without any popping. Okay, so now this will drive the knee. We could take that, straighten it up. So again, if we do the foot roll and the knee slightly going to one side, we can just push it back out. Okay, so that's the knee control in place. But what I find sometimes is this knee, because it's trying to aim at this, you always got to come and pull it up separately. So it's almost like, oh, I've got to come back for this control now, which can be quite annoying. So what you can do is we can hook this up to follow the this control, but also then animate on top of that and offset it. And we can also just turn that off. So if you do want to animate by taking this individually rather than have it follow the foot control, because if I take both together, we don't get the the knee doesn't flip out. And there's lots of ways to stop knee flipping. I just find this is quite a good way that I'm just about to do, but we'll do that in the next step. So let's make this follow this foot control and then be able to turn it on and off. So I'm just going to create a locator, and I'll rename this to be L knee follow lock, and I'll just scale that up using the local scale again. I'm just going to parent this to the ankle twist joint, zero out the values again, then unparent it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain this to the ankle twist joint so it follows along. Okay, so I'm just going to go ankle twist. Let's open that up. Actually, sorry, not the ankle twist. That's the joint. I want to constrain it to the ankle lock. We should have 2 locators in here, so it lives under. There it is. So the ankle lock. Then select the left knee follow lock, constrain point, and then for the rotation, I only want it to follow the rotate Y. So I'm going to go again with these 2 still selected. Ankle lock, left knee follow lock, constrain orient with just Y as the constraint axis. So with that done now, this locator will follow along, and it's in there somewhere. There it is. And if I rotate the foot using the rotate Y, picks this up as well, so that's fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to parent the offset control underneath this locator, the knee follow. We could use a parent constraint to keep these separate, but I think this will do fine. So I'm just going to middle mouse drag left knee control under left knee follow lock. So now when we take this foot control, knee follows cleanly, so we've stopped that flipping out. We can rotate in the Y using this attribute here. We get a clean twist. Again, I didn't want to do the X or the Z, especially the X, because the X ends up popping the knee control somewhere down here or up there, so it gets pretty messy. So what I want to do next is have the ability to turn this on and off, so it follows or doesn't follow, and we're going to just pretty much turn off the weights of these two constraints to do that. So if I select the left knee control, let's add a new attribute, edit add attribute, and call this knee follow. And then let's make this an enum and say knee follow foot or follow world. Okay, and then using selecting these two constraints, let's go animate set driven key set. They pop into the driven objects. Select the knee control as the driver. Knee follows what we're going to use. We're currently set to foot, so the foot should follow along, so these should be turned on, which they are. So let's key them, and then set this to world, and just turn these off. So 0 and 0, and then key those again. Okay, so now we're set to world. The knee shouldn't follow along, which it doesn't, and again we'd have to manually take that. If we switch to it's on here, to foot, this does follow along now. Okay, rotating the Y, that goes, so that's fine. And we can switch between. When we do switch between, because there's no sort of matching happening, you're going to get a slight little pop, so you'd have to key that exactly, but that's another thing to fix at another time, I guess. We could do the same for the elbow as well. So if I switch to IK mode and carry this, you can see the this doesn't follow along. So if you wanted to, you could do the same setup for the elbow, but I tend to not for the elbow. I just find it ends up doing stuff like this if you carry both. But I guess, you know, since you can turn it on and off, it's just giving them more choices, or the animator more choices. Okay, so that's pretty much the foot setup. What we're going to do in the next part is just quickly go in and tidy everything up, just so it's nice and neat, or as neat as can be. Okay. Actually, before we do the tidy up, I'm just going to change the way that this control is following this locator, only because I want to hide this locator later. If I hide that, it's going to take everything with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this knee control offset out from there by doing a shift P. Then I'm just going to parent constrain this to this. So select the left knee control, lock, then the offset constrain, parent with maintain offset turned on, hit add. It's going to give us the same result. Again, everything still works fine. We could turn this on and off, but it's just going to allow us to hide the control more easily later on. Okay, so yeah, we'll do the tidy up next. So tidying up now. First, I'm just going to take this locator, the knee follow lock, and pop it into world follow lock group. I might just rename that actually to be, because it's more than just world now, just follow lock group. And now I'm going to take the left knee control offset and just pop that into left leg rig group. And that's all the tidying up we need to do, other than hide these locators that are everywhere. But before I do that, to get the locators to the other side, it's pretty quick. You can just select the left ankle lock offset, just hit Control D, then Shift P to bring that out. Then all you got to do is pop a minus into the translate X, and then a minus in front of the rotate Y, and you've pretty much got all your locators in place. All you got to do after that is just pop the IK handles under these, and then create the set driven keys to drive everything. So yeah, that's a quick way to get everything over to the other side. I'm just going to delete this for now, and obviously rename this to be R. Get rid of these because you need to rebuild that, and then just rename everything to be R underscore instead of L. Okay, but once you've done that, you'll want to go through and just hide all of these locators. You should be able to just select the left ankle lock offset and do a Control H there. That's going to hide everything, and then again the left knee follow lock can be hidden as well. Okay, and that should get you ready for the next stage, which is going to be creating the set driven keys for the hand. So we'll have a control, sorry, not for the hand, for the fingers. So we'll have a control to drive the finger curling and everything else here. Okay, so we'll do that next time. Hello, just back again quickly. One thing I forgot to add was the toe flap control, because we've got the locator here to drive this, but we didn't actually hook this up. So I'm just going to select the left leg IK control, edit, add attribute, and call this toe flap. And I'm just going to give it a -10 and a maximum 10, default 0. Hit OK, and then again using the set driven key window, just going to load this as the driver, load the toe flap as the driven, and it's rotate X that we're after to toe flap. Everything's at 0, 0, 0 for the rotate X. So hit key, and then I'm just going to whack this up to 10, and I think 10 I'm going to do as going up. So rotate X, maybe I'll do it around -40, and then hit key again, and going in the opposite direction, -10, can be -40 maybe, so or 40. Okay, so once that's done, we can now use this to flap the foot as well. Okay, so that's pretty much everything now on the foot setup. Okay, so just a little extra thing, you should be able to hook that up very easily. Okay, see you next time.